Yes.
Yes.
So a very good afternoon to all the students to be present there. This is related to your control system class. And in my previous lecture or my previous video, you people just got an idea or introduction about the control system. What do you mean by this control system? So in my previous video, you people see that we have a system, and when we call about the system is having input, the system is having output, and the system can be bounded within the four walls of the boundary. So when we combine all these three things, it is called as a system. So another thing you were discussed in my last lecture, that if you get a desired output, or if you get whatever the output you like, if you got that output as a on the output side, then that system is basically called as your control system. But if you not get your desired output, then that system is basically somehow is called as the uncontrolled system. Now, today we were discussed about the basic concepts of your control system. What is a block diagram of all these control system? Okay, so for your knowledge point of view, the book recommended for your control system is your Automatic Control System by UA Bakshi. So my submission to all the students to be present there to please purchase the book, that is Control System by UA Bakshi, and this is basically the PDF version of that book. So I have that PDF version with me. I will share that PDF version with also you people. So those who are not unable, or those who are not able to buy that book at particular time due to this COVID pandemic, so you are requested to go through this PDF file. Okay. So if I talk about your control system that we have discussed in my previous lecture, so the very first thing is that thing we have a definition like that we have discussed is a system. So what do you mean by a system? A system, as you see, that a system is a combination or an arrangement of different physical components which act together as an entire unit to achieve a certain objective. For example, a classroom is a physical system. Like we are taking a classroom. A classroom along with the combination of benches, blackboard, fan, lighting system can be called as a classroom, which act as an elementary system. So if you remember, I will give you one example in my yesterday lecture that uh, I am acting as a input as your teacher. You people are get studied by me, so you people will be act as an output, and in between me and you we have a Zoom platform, we have an internet. So when we combine all these three things, that is myself, that is you people, and the internet as well as the Zoom platform, it will be act as a system. The whole is act as a system. So that is why here you can see that your book, that is a UK UA Bakshi author, has given you an example. A system is basically an example of a classroom. So in a classroom, we have benches, we have lights, we have fans, we have blackboards, we have students, we have teachers. So when we combine all these parameters, it is called as a system. Another example he has given, a system is like a lamp. A lamp is made up of glass, filament is a physical system, and here it is also write down that a kite is made up of paper, a kite is made up of a stick, and it is an example of your physical system. So we have number of systems, and these systems can be classified as a physical system, that is a biological system, that is an ecological system. Okay. Now you can see that this is the one of the most and most common, or you can say that this is one of the most and most important block diagram of your control system. I had already tell you in my previous lecture or in my previous video that a system is comprises of three main components. One is called as the input, another is called as the output, and third one, that is called as a four walls of the boundary, where your input signal is get processed, where your input signal is get diagnosis, and accordingly your desired output will be attained at the output side. I remember I will quote you example of a washing machine. I remember I will quote you an example of a geyser. So in case of a washing machine, we were discussed we have an input like detergent or a soap, we have an input like water, we have an input like dirty clothes. A machine, that is a system where your dirty clothes get washed it out, drained it out, and after that it will be wiped it out, and after that you will get a cleaned cloth. So output will be the cleaned cloth, input will be the dirty clothes, a soap or a detergent. So that system is basically called as your and control system of a washing machine. Similarly, I will give you another example of your geyser, where your input is like electricity, your input is like a cold water. So in a geyser tank, you are using an electric heating element. The water is get heated and attains a particular temperature. And when it gets a particular temperature, the heating element gets stopped by the help of a thermostat. So after that, you can get a desired output. So this is the another example of your, you can say that, control system. Okay. Now in control system, the system will becomes as uncontrolled if there is some error occur, isn't it? Let it be take an example that we can take the example of a geyser. We know, as I had already tell you, and I had already tell you in my previous video, the input will be your cold water and your electricity, and your output, that is the desired output, is basically the hot water. But anyhow, you are not getting the hot water, so you are not getting the desired output. So the system is now act as an uncontrolled system. So what will happen? A control system is become an uncontrolled system, because in that case there is some error to be present there. Maybe your heating element get damaged. Maybe your thermostat which is present inside the geyser is not working properly. Maybe your inlet valve is having some problem, the where the cold water is not getting inside the geyser. Maybe some electricity failure to be there. So we can say that we have a number of reasons where, due to which the system of control is become as uncontrolled. And in that case, these number of you can say that various components due to which your system becomes as uncontrolled from control, these are basically called as errors. Or how these errors can be detected, this will be helped with the help of a error detector. So you can see that in this block diagram, the most important thing is, this is the example of your closed loop control system. I will discuss later on, that is what do you mean by the difference between the open loop system as well as the control loop system. So here you can see we have an input, that is a command input. That input will be given to some transducer. After that, this input will be given to controller, and this controller has to be processed according to the controller. Whatever the programming, whatever the desired output you are having, it will be processed accordingly. And you can see that here CT, that is, I had already tell you in my previous video that CT stands for your output signal and RT stands for your input signal. So you can see on the extreme left hand side we have RT, that is called as reference input, and CT is called as the controlled output. Now you can see from the controlled output, that is C of T, one feedback element is to be present there, and that feedback element is going from controlled output to the input, and that is why here you have a feedback element to be present there. So one of the most important thing that here you should kept in mind, a system can be controlled only and only if there is a feedback to be present there. If there is no feedback present, then that system is called as your uncontrolled system. Okay. For example, I will give you one example so that you can just get an idea. मैं आप लोगों को पढ़ा रहा हूं, आई एम द इनपुट, आप लोग पढ़ रहे हैं, यू आर द आउटपुट. और मैं पढ़ा रहा हूं, आई एम इनपुट, यू आप लोग पढ़ रहे हैं, आप आउटपुट. और हम पढ़ रहे हैं इस ऑनलाइन मीडिया, दैट इज वी आर यूजिंग इंटरनेट, वी आर यूजिंग अ जूम प्लेटफॉर्म एंड ऑल दैट थिंग. ओके. नाउ जब तक मैं आपके इंटर्न टेस्ट नहीं लूंगा, जिसको हम लोग एक तरह के एमएसटीज कहते हैं, जब यूनिवर्सिटी आप लोगों के पेपर नहीं लेगी, तब तक आप लोगों, हम लोग, मुझे या यूनिवर्सिटी वालों को कैसे पता चलेगा कि जो हमने आपको पढ़ाया है, जो मैंने जो आपको पढ़ाया है, जो बाकी टीचर ने आपको जो पढ़ाया है, आपको वो समझ आ भी रही है, नहीं आ रही है. सो टू चेक कि जितना हमने आपको पढ़ाया उसमें से कितना आपने गेन किया. सो वी हैव अ फीडबैक. सो दैट फीडबैक इज नथिंग, इट इज अ सॉर्ट ऑफ योर एमएसटी, इट इज अ सॉर्ट ऑफ योर एग्जाम्स. सो हम लोग क्या करते हैं, आपके एग्जाम लेके उन एग्जाम्स के अकॉर्डिंगली वो इनपुट जाती है हमारे तक, और हमें ये पता चलता है कि आप लोगों को कितनी समझ आई. सो दैट इट द सिस्टम विल बिकम एज अ कंट्रोल्ड सिस्टम. बट लेट इट बी, अगर ये एग्जाम्स ही नहीं हो, अगर ये फीडबैक एलिमेंट ही प्रेजेंट ना हो, तो वो सिस्टम आपका क्या बन जाएगा, दैट इज अनकंट्रोल्ड. बिकॉज इनपुट चलती जा रही है, आउटपुट चलती जा रही है, लेकिन आउटपुट का इनपुट के ऊपर कोई भी कंट्रोल्ड नहीं है. सो जब आउटपुट का इनपुट के ऊपर कोई कंट्रोल्ड नहीं होगा, दैट मीन्स देयर विल बी अ चांस, देयर विल बी यू कैन से दैट प्रोबेबिलिटी that you are getting the desired output or not. Okay, mind it, जब तक आपके सिस्टम में फीडबैक प्रेजेंट है, आपको डिजायर्ड आउटपुट मिलेगी. बट जब आपके सिस्टम से फीडबैक हट जाएगा, कोई चांस नहीं है, देयर मे और मे नॉट बी कि आपको डिजायर्ड आउटपुट मिले. ठीक है, आई विल गिव यू द एग्जांपल, वन मोर एग्जांपल टू अंडरस्टैंड द कंसेप्ट. आपके गीजर में हम लोग मतलब कोल्ड वाटर को इंजेक्ट करते हैं, हीटिंग एलिमेंट है, और हीटिंग एलिमेंट के साथ आपका यू हैव अ थर्मोस्टेट इज टू बी देयर. ओके, आई विल गिव यू अनदर एग्जांपल, क्योंकि की एग्जांपल मैं कल के डिस्कस कर चुका हूं. आई विल गिव यू अनदर एग्जांपल. लाइक इस सीजन में वी आर नो ऑल नो दैट अभी बहुत पीक समर चल रही है, और मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम हम लोग अपने रूम्स के अंदर एयर कंडीशनर को ऑन करके बैठे हैं. क्लियर? Now you can just imagine air conditioner is act as a system. Now it will be become as controlled system, or it will be become as uncontrolled system. Now in case of an air conditioner, just imagine what is the input. Input means electricity. Input means air that present inside the room. आपके एयर कंडीशनर में क्या होता है कि जो हवा आपके रूम में होती है, वो हवा आपके आपका जो एयर कंडीशनर है वो उसको सक करता है. देन दैट एयर शुड बी कंप्रेस्ड इन अ कंप्रेसर, एंड आफ्टर दैट वो कंप्रेस्ड एयर ठंडी हवा करके आपको आउटपुट पे मिलती है. क्लियर जी? नाउ क्या होता है, आप अपने एयर कंडीशनर के टेम्परेचर को सेट करते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल 24 डिग्री सेल्सियस और 21 डिग्री सेल्सियस. तो आपको क्या लगता है कि जो आपका एयर कंडीशनर में जो मेन कंपोनेंट है, दैट इज कंप्रेसर, जिसने आपकी एयर को कंप्रेस करके ठंडा करना है और ठंडी हवा आपको देनी है, क्या वो कंप्रेसर आपका 24 आवर्स ऑन रहता है जब तक आपका एयर कंडीशनर ऑन रहता है? नहीं. होता क्या है, आपके एयर कंडीशनर में देयर इज वन सेंसर, एंड दैट सेंसर इज बेसिकली द टेम्परेचर सेंसर. जब आप रिमोट कंट्रोल के साथ एयर कंडीशनर का एक टेम्परेचर सेट करते हैं, लाइक 21, 22, 23, 24, व्हाटएवर अकॉर्डिंग टू योर डिजायर. सो लेट इट बी, अगर आपने उसका टेम्परेचर 22 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड सेट कर दिया विद द हेल्प ऑफ यू कैन से दैट रिमोट कंट्रोल, सो होगा क्या, ये 22 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड टेम्परेचर क्या है, ये है आपकी डिजायर्ड आउटपुट. आई कैन अगेन रिपीट, आपने रिमोट कंट्रोल से एयर कंडीशनर का टेम्परेचर अगर 22 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड सेट कर दिया, तो दैट मींस दैट टेम्परेचर इज योर डिजायर्ड आउटपुट. बाहर टेम्परेचर चाहे 40 है, बाहर चाहे टेम्परेचर 45 है, वो 40 डिग्री या वो 45 डिग्री आपका क्या है, इनपुट. लेकिन आप चाहते हैं आपके रूम में टेम्परेचर 21 डिग्री या 22 डिग्री रहे, दैट मींस यू आर रिक्वायर्ड डिजायर्ड आउटपुट. सो फॉर गेटिंग दैट डिजायर आउटपुट, जब आपने रिमोट कंट्रोल के साथ अपना टेम्परेचर सेट कर दिया, तो होता क्या है, आपका कंप्रेसर ऑन होगा और वो आपकी इनलेट एयर को कंप्रेस करेगा up till 22 डिग्री or 23 डिग्री सेल्सियस, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन whatever the temperature you have set it out. जैसे ही आपके रूम का टेम्परेचर 22 या 23 जो आपने सेट करा था वहां पहुंचता है, ऑटोमेटिकली योर कंप्रेसर विल गेट टर्न्ड ऑफ. फैन विल रोटेटिंग कंटिन्यूअसली, बट योर कंप्रेसर विल टर्न ऑफ. नाउ आफ्टर सम टाइम व्हाट विल हैपन, जब आपका कंप्रेसर बंद हो जाता है, देन आपकी जो इनलेट एयर है अब वो कंप्रेस नहीं होगी, तो आपका जो टेम्परेचर है रूम का वो बढ़ना शुरू हो जाता है। जैसे ही वो 22 अगर आपने पहले सेट किया था, अगर वो बढ़ के 23 हो जाएगा तो अगेन ऑटोमेटिकली योर कंप्रेसर विल अगेन स्टार्ट। So here the question comes, it is called as the control system, because here we have a feedback element. And what is a feedback element here? That temperature sensor, वो continuously आपका सेंस कर रहा है कि आपने टेम्परेचर कितना फिक्स्ड किया और अभी आपके रूम का टेम्परेचर कितना है। अगर उसमें वेरिएशन होगी तो वो कमांड देगा कंप्रेसर को टू गेट स्टार्ट ऑन, और वो कमांड देगा कंप्रेसर को टू स्टार्ट ऑफ, depending upon whatever the temperature you have. So accordingly you can get a desired output. Now यहां पर अगर आप ये सोचिए कि अगर आपका वो जो टेम्परेचर सेंसर है वो खराब हो जाता है, दैट मींस उसमें एक एरर आ जाता है, एक एरर अकर करेगा, तो क्या फिर आपको डिजायर्ड आउटपुट मिलेगी? नहीं मिलेगी। सो in this way you can say that your feedback element present, and this feedback element is continuously taking the signal from the output and giving to the input, and accordingly input has to be perform its function. The similar case is applied with your refrigerator also. आपने अपने रेफ्रिजरेटर में जो प्लग है वो आपने 24 आवर 365 डेज के लिए लगाया होता है। इनपुट सप्लाई आपके इनपुट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सप्लाई आपके रेफ्रिजरेटर में कॉन्टिन्यूशन में चल रही होती है। तो क्या आपका जो कंप्रेसर रेफ्रिजरेटर के अंदर लगा है, क्या वो भी 24 आवर 365 डेज वर्क करता है? नहीं। अगर वो ऐसा वर्क करना शुरू कर दे तो आपके रेफ्रिजरेटर में आइसी आइस हो जाए। अगेन वहां भी क्या है, वी हैव टेम्परेचर सेंसर कंट्रोल्स। अगर आप लोग ध्यान से अपने रेफ्रिजरेटर को खोल के देखिए, आपके फ्रीजर चैम्बर में एक अलग टेम्परेचर सेंसर होगा, आपके नीचे वाले पार्टीशन में अलग एक टेम्परेचर सेंसर होगा, एक मॉड्यूल्स होंगे। आप क्या करते हैं, अकॉर्डिंगली उनकी लेवलिंग करते हैं, 1 2 3 4 5 6, एंड सिमिलरली 1 2 3 4 5 6 इन द फ्रीजर लेवल। सो जितना भी
कूलर भी है ना,
या ये एग्जैक्टली आई एम कमिंग। तो जितना भी टेम्परेचर आप अकॉर्डिंगली सेट करते हैं उतना आपको डिजायर्ड चाहिए, और वो डिजायर्ड क्या है, आपका फीडबैक की तरह काम करता है। जब तक रेफ्रिजरेटर के अंदर जितना टेम्परेचर आपने सेट करके रखा है तो उतना टेम्परेचर रहेगा, कंप्रेसर ऑटोमेटिकली ऑफ हो जाता है। पर जैसे ही आपका टेम्परेचर में वेरिएशन आती है, ज्यादा हो जाता है, ऑटोमेटिकली कंप्रेसर विल ऑन। सो ये सारे का सारा काम कौन कर रहा है? ये सारे का सारा काम आपका कर रहा है फीडबैक एलिमेंट। सो दैट इज व्हाई you now just thinking out that this feedback element is plays an important role to make our system from uncontrolled to control. And if this feedback is get absent, or if there is some error occur in the system, then your control system is become as uncontrolled system. Okay, now I think you just got an idea, that is what do you mean by this control and uncontrolled, how does this feedback element work it out? Just got an idea? Now anybody having any doubt, now he or she can ask me. Yeah, please.
No sir.
Clear? It's all clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, see, so based upon this diagram, we have here, I have already tell you in my previous lecture, there are various signals to be present there. So we have R of t, that R of t is called as the input signal, and here it will be written down as reference input. You have C of t, that is called as controlled output. You have E of t, that is called as error signal. You have M of t, that is called as the manipulated signal. And the most important thing that should be present is called as your feedback signal, that is B of t. So by combination of all these signals in a system, your system will become as you can say that a control system. Okay, so based upon that thing, you have here it will be write down about some description part that I had already tell you, that how this system can operate. So I will share you people with this PDF file also, and also you can purchase that book. So after that you can just go through it, you can just an idea, whatever I will speak you can got an idea. Okay, so these are write down what are we having these elements out there. Okay ji. So we have certain advantages and we have certain disadvantages of this system. Like advantages, the accuracy of the such system is always very high, because controller modifies and manipulates the actuating signal such that error in the system will be equal to 0. So that I have already tell you that this type of control system is most reliable system. It is a very accurate system. जैसे ही आपका temperature air कंडीशनर का या रेफ्रिजरेटर का बिल्कुल एक पॉइंट भी कम होता है, ऑटोमेटिकली आपके कंप्रेसर्स ऑन हो जाते हैं और वो स्टार्ट वर्किंग करना शुरू कर देते हैं. Such system sense environmental changes as well as internal distortion and accordingly modifies the error. In such system, there is a reduced effect of non-linearities and distortions. Bandwidth of such system, that is operating frequency zone for such system, is very, very high. But now these systems are having certain disadvantages. Number one, such systems are very, very complicated in nature and time consuming from the design point of view. So here you can say that these systems are basically something like costlier because the feedback element has to be present there. And when we have a feedback element to be present there, in order to make the system more accurate and more efficient, obviously the cost factor will increasing. So this is the disadvantage, that the system is become complicated and it is in design as well as you can say that consuming much time for designing point of view, and it is very costlier as compared to the normal system. Due to the feedback, the system tries to correct the error from time to time. Tendency to overcorrect the error may cause oscillations which bound in the system. Hence, this system has to be designed taking into consideration problems of instability due to the feedback. Okay, so these are certain advantages and these are certain disadvantages of the system. Okay, now this is all about for today's lecture. So I will share with you people the PDF file of this thing. So my request to all the students to be present there, kindly watch my video again so that you can just get an idea that what do you mean by this uncontrolled and control system, how a feedback element can work. And also, why after watching this video, you are requested to please go through the study material so that you can just get an idea that whatever we have a system, how this block diagram and all this are working. Okay, clear beta?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so anybody having any doubt now, he or she can ask me. Anybody? It is clear to all, I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now it's the time to mark your attendance. I will share the link of Google form in the chat box. So all the students are requested to please mark the attendance in the link provided on the chat box for attendance point of view. Okay, so thank you so much for today's lecture. Thank you.